Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Emily and this is the first time I'm doing a video like this, and that is going through my reading journal and then also kind of showing what I plan on doing for my reading journal for 2025. There are pretty big differences, I think, between the two of them. So I'm gonna go over my 2023 one first. It's not complete, obviously. This is still midway through November, so I have a few more weeks left of the year, but you'll still get the general idea of what I did this year and what I'm taking into the next year, as well as what I'm not. So I started a reading journal this past year just because I do like having creative outlets outside of just reading, and I wanted some little crafty fun way to incorporate reading into that outlet. So I saw all these videos about reading journals and I was like, this is perfect. I've always wanted a journal, but I never really had much to say in them, I guess. And this was a perfect way to track what I'm reading, but also have that little bit of a creativity aspect to it. So I did a lot more in this journal than I'm going to be doing in next year's, just because I don't want it to be an overwhelming task that I have to do. I think I tried to do a little bit too much this year just because it was the first time I was doing it and I didn't really know what to expect. So I'm gonna tone it down a little bit for 2025 and I will show you the differences. The biggest differences are the sizes. So my 2023 is an A5 size, spiral bound dotted notebook, and my 2025 is, I don't even know if this is a size, but this is a artist's book that I picked up at Michael's. I wanted something bigger because I didn't want to do tons and tons of pages. I just wanted like big pages to do an overall spread for the month, and you'll see the changes once we go through that. But that is my new one, but we'll first go through my 2023. I tried to do this video as like an overshot one, and I just don't have the right equipment for that, so I didn't like how it showed, like it turned out, so this is why we're doing it this way. But the first part is just a title page. The nice thing about the spiral bound is you don't have like any awkward pages at the beginning. Then I did my 2024 goals. On this side I had read 150 books, which I did. Read 10 new to me authors. I'm not going to carry this into the new year just because I'm just gonna bring this closer to me. We're gonna get up close and personal. Just because I hit this like in January. A lot of the books that I have are new authors, or I like to try new authors a lot. I get a lot of subscription books that are authors that maybe I haven't read before. When I buy books in like Barnes or on Amazon, typically they are authors I've heard of or have read before. So hit that pretty early on. The other goal I had was to read the entire Shadowhunters universe, and I'm almost there. I have 3 more books to read, and that will be done by the end of the year. So that will be nice to check off. The one thing I really didn't do was read and annotate Harry Potter. Harry Potter was the first series that I ever read as a child that got me into reading and basically grew my love of fantasy books. I do not want to annotate the books that I own because they are first edition hardbacks, but I wanted to buy or find paperbacks to do that too, and I just never even got those, so that never happened. But it's a goal that I have for next year because I also kind of want to do read the book, watch the movie, read the book, watch the movie, because I've never done that. I've seen all the movies, I've read all the books, read the books before the movie, but I never kind of did the back and forth, and I do want to do that. And then I also had a read 10 nonfiction books. I'm up to 7, and I have 2 more definitely on the docket, so I may have to find a 10th one just to try to reach that goal. We'll see. And then this one's really hard to see, but it said read 50% of my physical TBR from the beginning of the year, and I started the year with 88 books, so I had to read 44 of those, and I did that pretty early on. Then I did my 24 books in 2024, and I did them as like the book stack. The only 2 books I did not read are Bloodguard and The Liars Club. The Liars Club got moved to 2025. That is why I could not read that. And Bloodguard kept getting pushed out and pushed out and pushed out, and I eventually just canceled my pre-order because I was pretty convinced it was going to get pushed out to 2025. It did not, but I don't own it, and at this point I'll wait and I'll maybe read it next year. I've seen good reviews, I've seen mixed reviews. We'll see if I do end up picking that up. But the rest of the books I did read, and I colored them in as I went along. This will change. The format you will see for next year is different. This will also change. This is my book tracker. I did enough spaces for 192 books, and I'm well beyond that now. I'm around 245, something like that. So I never continued it. I could have added a page to like flop open. I never continued it just because it didn't matter to me. I know how many books I've read. So I'm going to do this a little differently too. You'll see that as well. And I also am not going to do the shelfie for this coming year, but this was my 2024 shelfie. And I ended up filling this in pretty much around the same time I did the 192 books. I can't remember exactly how many of these filled in, but it was pretty close. And then I never continued it either because it was just too much to keep up with. Like, I had to go here, and I had to go here, and I had to go check it off. So you'll see a little bit more of that. I just didn't want all of this work to go into my journal for the next year. This is my series tracker. I did expand this out, but this again is not all of the series that I am reading or have read. And if you see how I did it, I wrote the title of the series and then the books coming out in that series, and then I would just put a check mark when I read it. So this took up a lot of space, and it was a lot of time to set it up every time I started a new series or whatever. So this will also be changing for the new year. And then this next part is my physical TBR. I wrote down all the books I started the year with. We got to about halfway down this first column on the second page. And as you can see, I've bought quite a few books this year. And this isn't even all of them. I stopped at the end of October, and I bought a lot of books in November because November was a rough month. So I have read. I am proud to say that every book on this page is read, and pretty close to having the second page completely marked off too, and a lot of them will be by the end of the year. But I will be changing how I track that as well in the new year. Something I'm not taking into 2025 was the alphabet challenge, just because there's certain letters I'm never going to find a book that fits, like X. I don't know what to read that starts with an X. V, I've read Verity, but I feel like that's literally the only book that I own that starts with a V. So it wasn't necessary. It doesn't like help me do anything. I'm not gonna take it to the next year with me, at least not right now. I may change in future years and bring something back, but then I also just put a page with my rating system on here, like 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star, 5 star. I do give quarter stars, so there is in-betweens there, but I don't really feel like it's necessary to write out my rating system, just because a lot of times I go off vibes and feelings when I'm giving a book a rating. I don't look at writing style. I don't look at how good the writing was, if the plot was like necessarily perfect, if there were plot holes. If I enjoyed a book, if I felt a lot of emotions and a lot of feelings when I'm reading a book, it's going to be a 5-star read, or it's going to be a 4-star read. If I was like, no, it was okay, I enjoyed it, but whatever, it's around a 3-star. It's all about vibes, so I don't need to write it down. Then I did my year at a glance, which is all 12 months, so 6 months, and it shows the number of pages, the number of books, the number of pages, how many were Kindle Unlimited, physical, and then rating for the month, the average rating for the month. That's just kind of like a nice overview. I did carry this in some similar way into 2025 because I do like to go back and look at, okay, my rating, September and May were my highest months for rating. So I read probably the highest rated books that in those 2 months. So it's just kind of nice to go back and then see like how many books I read versus pages, because pages don't necessarily equivalent books. Like this month in particular, I had quite a few books that were like 600 plus pages. So while my book count might be down, my page count's going to be up. So just interesting to see that. I like numbers. And then this is my first monthly spread, and it does continue on in the same fashion throughout all of the months. I will go through a few of them. I'm not going to go through all the 12 months, but in general, I just did a monthly overview. And when I would read a book, I would write it down and then highlight over how long it took me to read. And then I would put my monthly TBR at the bottom here, and then when I read it, I would fill in the little square next to it. This was continuous throughout. This will be coming into 2025 with me in a similar way, but not exactly the same. And then on this page, this was my wrap up. The end of the month, I would put in my books and number of pages up here. I tracked my genres and my ratings as well over here. New releases that were coming out that I was looking forward to, books that I bought and received. These will not be on the monthly spreads, but I am taking that into the new year. and audiobooks, I will be carrying that as well. I do not count audiobooks as books read, but I still like to write down the audiobooks that I've listened to so that I remember. And then at the beginning of the year, I did track this way. And that was basically putting the title and then a picture of the book cover next to it. I wrote down the main characters' names, a review, and the author's genre, medium, pages, rating, and spice. Started the year off like super neat handwriting, super clean pages, and the further we got along, the more tired my hand got. And this was just a lot to keep up with every time I finished a book, having to go in there and remember to do all of that. This month I did print off these in just on like regular paper and cut them out and glued them in, but you will see that I have changed that throughout. So this is just more of January, February, similar vibes. I did, as you see, change them to kind of match the themes of the month, but that's really just color, and that is something that I also did carry into next year. I'm trying to find where I changed the format because I was running out of pages, so I did have to change how I did this at one point. Yeah, so when I got to August, I had to change how I did my ratings because I was running out of pages. So this gave me 4 per page rather than just 2. And at this point I have an HP Sprocket. It's over there. I would show it to you. And it prints little like 2x3 sticker pages. So I can fit 4 book covers on each page. And I just cut them out when I've hit 4 books. And then I sticker them in. That has been nice because I don't have to like remember to print them off. Sometimes it like cuts it off a little, but it is what it is. I'm not too concerned about it. And then from there, I even had to go further and do 6 per page because I was still going to run out of pages in the book if I continued on that way. September is much of the same. I did get lazy on writing down all of my audiobooks and new releases. Again, that's just because this became a little bit too much to focus on. I got lazy with the art when we got towards October, but the books are all essentially in there. November, as you can see, is still partially filled out because we're not done yet. I did just finish Our Violin Ends this morning, so I have to go in and add that. And when I do, I'll be printing off some more pictures. So I still have to fill out Our Violin Ends here, and then I will have enough to do 2 sticker pages, so I was just waiting to do that. And I will still have like a few pages left in this notebook at the end of the year, but really not too many. Maybe like 3. So pretty much filled this out this year. Learned a lot. Had fun doing it. I will still love to look back on this and remember what I did. This was my first journal, so that will be something sentimental to look back on. But I made some severe changes for 2025. My foot is falling asleep because I'm sitting crisscross applesauce. Okay. The big-in. This is going to be harder to show because it's going to block my face, so bear with me. The beginning, I did just a simple intro page. I put some quotes. It just says Emily's book journal. I do plan on trying to use this for at least 2 or 3 years. Based on the spreads I have now, I think I can get 3 years out of it. So I did a 2025 page just to kind of break it up. And you will see that I have like the same kind of floral theme. I bought like a big stack of paper that is all kind of similar vibes, and I used floral stickers that I've had, and I bought a few and some washi tape and stuff that I had to do the entire journal. My goals page is going to be a lot more simple. Over here, this is not in there yet. I have to write out my goals. I'm not 100% certain on everything. I still haven't actually even decided what I want my Goodreads number challenge to be yet this year. I keep going back and forth. So once I have that filled out, I will update when I do. I'm going to do a journal update every month, setting up the next month and also kind of finishing out the previous month. At the beginning of January, I'll show my goals and my TBR that I have to put in for January and all kind of stuff. And then it'll continue on for the next few months, and then I will do quarterly updates as well. But you'll see that at the beginning of January when I've made up my mind. And then my 25 and 25 has changed. So instead of doing the book stack, I measured out rectangles that will be the book covers, and I wrote the title and the author. And when I finish that, I'll put the book cover over top of the title and author, and I think when this is complete, this will look really cool. So that is a inspiration to try to fill that out for the year. Next is how I'm going to be tracking the reading. Instead of doing the little squares with the count, I'm going to be doing read by the genre and by the rating. So I did by the genre, I wrote the different genres that I read, and they're all color coded, and then as I read, I'm going to go across and just fill in the squares based on these colors, and the same thing with the ratings at the bottom. And I did do ranges based on decimals because I said I do quarter ratings. So I think this will look really cool at the end of the year when it's all like filled out and colorful, but we'll see. And this is a lot of squares. This is way more books than I'm gonna read, but I wanted to be safe than sorry. Back to this side for my physical TBR carrying into 2024. It is not filled out yet. I've gridded out what I think I will need to write all of the books down, but once the end of the year comes and I do my physical TBR video at the end of 2024, those books will all go on here, and then as I read them, I'll highlight them off. There will also be a video for this. So that is a little bit more simple. Next is my series tracker. This was also simplified down. As you can see, I just did the title of the series and then little circles to like show how many books are in that series, and when I color them in, it means I've read it. So yes, I don't necessarily have the written out order of the books. I have to maybe do some research, but I know how many are in the series and how many I've read based on that. So these are all of the series that I know I'll be continuing or carrying into 2024. I have not put anything that I'm reading right now that either is going to be complete or I did complete in this year, obviously. Okay, and then the next is how I'm going to be tracking my books. A lot bit different actually than the Shelfie. So I did a spread that has like books read, and it says the number, the title, the author, pages, rating, and then the date that I finished. So this will be a little bit more handwritten, like actual information, but I did 3 spreads of this, which gives me about 280 books, I think, for these 3 spreads. I don't know that I'll need that many, but considering I'm pretty close to that number now and I still have a month and a half left, it's possible. I don't know. I could need like 2 pages. We'll see. And then this is also a non-filled out spread yet. Obviously, it is physical TBR. Basically anything I purchase or receive in 2025. And I think what I will do is write in a certain color pen for everything that's in January, and then the next month will be different, just so I can kind of see visually like how many books I bought each month. I will also do the same thing on these pages. All of the January books will be written in one color, and then when I move on, I'll change the color. Just again, the dates will show me, but it's like quicker visualization to have the colors change. And then my yearly stats, this is what I carried in from last year. A little bit different though. I'm doing number of books, pages, how many audiobooks I listened to, how many books I've bought or received, and then my average rating. So it is a little bit of different statistics that I'm going to be tracking, but still overall it's kind of a nice overview to look at the end of the year. I will be doing quarterly spreads for each season. So the first one is my winter spread that I will be showing you. And winter to me is December, January, and February, so there is going to be a little bit of carryover from this year into this, but that's just the seasons. I don't make the rules. It turns to winter in December. So this is the quick overview of what these pages look like. And then over here is like releases that I'm excited for. I did January, February, and December. That was a mistake. I meant to do December, January, February, but it is what it is. And then all I do is write the book and the date that it's coming out. If I am looking forward to the release, there's a few more that I have to add to this that I've been seeing. I've been saving like every post that I see on Bookstagram that has like 2025 releases, but they're not done in like any specific order, and it's kind of frustrating because I have to look through like all 20 slides to figure out the January books, the February books. It's a little annoying, but I'll figure it out. And then on this side is my winter TBR. If you're not new here, you'll know that I do 15 books every quarter that I want to read in that season. and I try to read 5 of those books a month. It doesn't always work out that way, but I did the same thing as my 25 and 25 and did the title and the author, and I will put the book over that whenever I finish it. Now on to monthly spreads. This is my January spread. Similar but different, so I still did the month. I'm still going to track the books and pages that I've read, and then some other statistics I left blank here to be able to do. But I'm going to track my months the same, my reads the same way, monthly, like write them out and highlight them. And then over here is my TBR. I will put the 12 books. I'm going to try to pick 12 books every month this year for my physical TBR, books that I want to read in that month. And I will put the covers here at the beginning of the month, a little bit different than the quarterly, seasonal, and 25 and 25 that I'm doing, whereas I'm not putting the book on until I finish it. I do have a really good track record of finishing that book, these books in the month, so I will put the covers up here, and then I will put the star rating underneath it once I've read it. And then I've left the next 2 pages blank. I don't know exactly what's going to go on here, but if I do a specific vlog, like I'm going to try to read at least 2 Kindle books a month, so I might put a little spot over here maybe that's on the Kindle books that I read, and then vlogs that I do that are books that are not on my monthly TBR, and then keep having to switch back and forth. The January audiobooks. So I'm going to do a little half-page spread, I think, of the audiobooks that I listen to every month and give them a little bit more attention, because I do listen to a lot of audiobooks in my commute to and from work. And then I have a very, my brain has to be extremely organized, and I like when things match. So February is quite similar. It's just different colors. Same as I did in my 2024 journal. And then I have that blank space for the February books. And then moving on to, it's not done because I'm going to do this as its own video, but my spring update page, like my releases and my TBR for that. So I will be doing these as updates. I will be setting up each spread. Like I'll do spring, but then I will also do my March, April, May front page spreads in a video, just so that you can see what those are going to look like. I've already cut the papers and everything I need for them, so hopefully that'll help keep the commitment to this journal down throughout the year. I'll just have to glue stuff in and fill out a few spreads. So that is my 2025 journal, and then I'll show you quickly what I've been doing in the back, which is author spreads. So if I have specific authors that I really like and I want to read their backlist on, I've been giving them their own spread. This is Elle Kennedy, Lucy Score, Kristen Hanna, and Brandon Sanderson. Stephen King, Cassandra Clare, and Lucy Foley. Almost said Score again. Then these are 4 thriller authors. These are my 4 favorite thriller authors: Megan Miranda, Riley Sager, Alice Feeney, and Ruth Ware. Ruth Ware just announced a new book I have to put in here. I did not do that yet. And then some of my YA authors. So Jennifer Lynn Barnes, Karen M. McManus, Holly Jackson, and Leigh Bardugo. I am caught up on Holly Jackson and Leigh Bardugo, but a few more books for Karen and Jennifer. So, and I have to add one for Jennifer, I think, as well, because I don't have the new Grandest Game book that's coming out. I don't have that listed there yet. And then some romance authors: Elsie Silver, Ashley Poston, Abby Jimenez, and Allie Hazelwood. So those are the ones that I have for now. If I decide to add other ones in time, I will update you guys at that point. But that was my long-winded explanation of what I'm doing, and I wish I could have done this in a different way, but I just don't have the right equipment to be able to do the overhead view, and I'll probably continue to do it like this because I think this is a little bit more personal, and I'm not a it's not journalist, so I don't know, person that does journals often. I just do it for fun and for a creative outlet, like I said, so I'm not going to invest in getting all that fancy stuff. But that is my update on my 2024 and what I have planned for 2025 for my journals. And if you have any questions or comments, have any suggestions for things I could add, let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you're doing a reading journal for 2025. And I thank you all so much if you've made it this far for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.